Welcome back. Yesterday we saw Nehemiah's response to hearing of the condition of Jerusalem. He sat down and he wept. That led him into fasting and praying, and that led him into confessing the sins of his people for many days. As a result of that time of prayer and fasting, Nehemiah felt a burden to be personally involved. He resolved to make a presentation to the king and asked Yahweh to grant him mercy before the king. We see the result of that prayer in the beginning of chapter 2 of the book of Nehemiah. And it came to pass in the month of Nisan, in the 20th year of King Artaxerxes, when wine was before him, that I took the wine and gave it to the king. Now I had never been sad in his presence before. Therefore the king said to me, "Why is your face sad, since you are not sick? This is nothing but sorrow of heart." So I became dreadfully afraid. And the king said to the king, "May the king live forever. Why should my face not be sad, when the city, the place of my father's tombs, lies waste, and its gates are burned with fire?" Then the king said to me, "What do you request?" So I prayed to the God of heaven, and I said to the king, "If it pleases the king, and if your servant has found favor in your sight, I ask that you send me to Judah, to the city of my father's tombs, that I may rebuild it." Then the king said to me, the queen also sitting beside him, "How long will your journey be, and when will you return?" So it pleased the king to send me, and I set him a time. Nehemiah's sorrow and passion were written all over his face. Now, it was hazardous to one's health in that Persian kingdom to bring sadness into the presence of the king. That's why Nehemiah became dreadfully afraid. However, he quickly gathered himself, trusting in Yahweh, and presented to the king what had caused his great sorrow. And Yahweh answered Nehemiah's prayer and granted him mercy through the king. For the king responded by asking Nehemiah what Nehemiah would have him, that is the king, do for him. Before Nehemiah opened his mouth again to respond to the request of the king, he first sent up a quick prayer to the God of heaven. I think he probably asked for additional mercy, grace, and favor. Like, "Oh, Father, you brought me this far. See me through it." Nehemiah then asked King Artaxerxes for a leave of absence. And then, subsequently, he asked the king to fund the rebuilding project. The king willingly gave approval to both requests. As we have discussed numerous times, but need to be continually reminded of, our God is able to do exceeding abundantly above all that we ask or think. Proverbs 21 verse 1 states, "The king's heart is in the hand of Yahweh. Like the rivers of water, he turns it wherever he wishes." What is it that God would have you prayerfully seek? Remember, Nehemiah wasn't an architect. He wasn't a civic leader. He wasn't a mason. He wasn't a builder. But he was willing to be used by God. That all came as a result of Nehemiah taking time to go before the Lord in prayer and fasting with a compassion for the things of God, seeking God's favor, seeking God's intervention, and then willingly responding to the burden that Yahweh placed upon his own heart. Are you willing to be a Nehemiah? Pray and have a blessed day.